AIBC main stage here, and thank you to Jessica and the whole team for that wonderful AIBC pitch. Congratulations to Nasdaq for the win. Hi, I'm Wesley Ellul, and I'm going to be your moderator for the next panel, which is all asking the question, should we regulate DeFi? Today with me, I have 5 amazing guests. Actually 4, because I'm not counting correctly. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce to the stage our first guest, Simona Vasile. Simona Vasile from KPMG, who'll be joining us for this panel. A big round of applause. Next, Dr. Biyan Mienert from Tycoon.io. Thierry Arys Ruiz from AgAu. And finally, Paul Vaitkevicius. I think I got that right, Paul? Oh, okay, thank you very much. So today's topic is asking one question. Should DeFi, or definitely, be self-regulated? So should DeFi be regulated is the question we're going to be asking today. Now, DeFi, we've been talking about it all day, guys. It's been on the topic since this morning. And the first question I'm going to ask you is, well, actually, before I start, I'd actually all like you to introduce yourselves. So if you could just take a couple of minutes to introduce yourselves, your background, and then we'll get into the topic itself.
Super. Thank you so much for having us here. It's a pleasure seeing everyone. My name again is Simona Vasile. I'm a KPMG tax and legal partner. I currently sit in Oslo, but I have a wide cross-border experience in both the US, Romania, UK, India. And this is a big topic. It is a big topic for everybody and continues to be a big topic. So what we do at KPMG is we offer a lot of services in both assurance and audit space, as well as pure advisory and consultancy work, but more and more in the regulatory tax and legal space, which we're going to talk about right now. So I'm really excited to share with you what we have seen and where we think this industry should go from a regulation perspective.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Mienert. I'm a lawyer from Germany and legal advisor to Tycoon. I've been advising crypto startups since like 2016 and 17, and I'm really specialized into DeFi and DAOs. I actually wrote my PhD about the legal qualification of DAOs and DeFi protocols. So I'm really helping in that stuff and helping companies to set up in this space in a way which is like going for the long term and where they don't have to risk it all with coming with new regulations and everything. And I'm happy to share my thoughts here. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Thierry Arys. I'm the CEO and founder of AgAu, AgAu. So AG, the chemical elements, AG for silver, AU for gold. We're based in Switzerland, and we have a token backed by silver and by gold. I think I'm the only non-lawyer here, so I'm probably on the customer side. But that is definitely something that is probably the topic that could make or break companies like mine. So I have to deal with that as one of the primarily de-risking factors of what we do. So from selecting the right jurisdictions, the right models, and get the right advice in order to be in line with the regulations that evolve.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paulius Vaitkevicius. I'm a CEO and founder of VILP Solutions. So we are providing legal services for various crypto projects. We take them from A to Z and basically solve all the legal issues they have throughout their projects. And of course, we work a lot with clients who are having issues and dealing with DeFi and any other, let's say, crypto space related activities. So it will be very interesting to hear the different thoughts from the industry and of course have a very good discussion with you guys.
Thank you very much, Paul. So as we were just mentioning, so DeFi, I'm not sure if today when I've been here, if anybody gave me a definition of DeFi. Now I know it's decentralized finance, but what does that mean? I just have finance coming from everywhere in the world. What is a project maybe? Well, so what is a project that you would say is a good DeFi project? Let's start with you.
Sure.
Simona.
So we literally just had a demystifying DeFi session on March 16th at KPMG, just for the same reason, because they hear the buzzword, but they need to understand what that means underneath it, right? And I think this has become such an important topic with the extension of the use cases of blockchain technology and the emerging markets around this. So the fact that last year, when I participated at this event, we had 1,000 coins, and now we have over 17,000. And the fact that everybody can come up with their own currency, own token, own asset, and there is a market for it, I think that says a lot about our current regulated environment and the stable coins and the need for all of us to actually operate in this decentralized finance environment, which ultimately will give people more options by leveraging technology.
Okay, so all these coins are the only type of DeFi that exists, or is there something else? I'll bring that on to be. Are these coins the only type of DeFi that exist at the moment, or is there other things?
So yeah, I think the goal of DeFi and of the coin should be to really be about inclusion, to eliminate intermediaries and to really make it possible for people who didn't have a bank account or something like that to really get and use financial protocols. And when we come to regulation, that's also the big part that's coming into it, because if you think about it, the biggest thing for regulating DeFi is the intermediaries. So if you have really good DeFi protocols who are fully decentralized, they have to cut back on maybe interacting with the real traditional finance world in some cases, but on the other hand, they really make it possible for everyone over the world to be part of this movement in DeFi.
Okay. So there's something interesting you said there. You said that this is about decentralizing and bringing sort of these financial activities to people who may not traditionally be in. Now, wouldn't regulation sort of stop those people from getting in? I don't know, like there's all that KYC stuff happening and having an address all of a sudden changes that. I mean, what do you think about that, Thierry?
Okay, so from a business perspective, I think you see the evolution of something like Napster that comes and is somewhat uncontrollable, because even though you regulate it, it doesn't mean that in practice it doesn't happen. And Bitcoin is some sort of thing like that. So then what we see in the crypto world is that you see malpractice, and so a little bit of everything. And from an entrepreneurial perspective, you would think that you want the free market to sort it out.
Okay.
The other perspective is you want also the fiduciary duty to be respected, and you want consumer protection to be there as well. And then some people want to regulate it. Ultimately, I think what the question of deregulating DeFi is a question that would answer the point of really materializing the decentralization aspect, meaning that people do not have to go through friction and commission or intermediaries, but then you also want to basically have crypto winters every now and then to purify the bad projects out of it. So in the end, I think the more options, even sometimes the bad ones, can create more option, and then the market will figure it out. That's one way of looking at things. But then from the other perspective, you also want trusted party. So I think ultimately it will be just a factor of migrating the already existing legal framework into a consensus where everybody agrees that those should be the rules.
But is that like actually a framework that you're asking? Like, do you actually see written down regulations?
It's an ongoing process,
okay.
and hopefully the market would vote with their feet and with their money, if you want. And so they will go through those that they trust the most because they think it's done well,
okay.
And then if not, then they would flip to something else. That's what you would hope. But then, of course, you have regulators who want to anticipate those sort of events so that you don't see those big malpractices going on, right?
Okay, Paul, do you agree?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of good points touched already. And from my own practice and experience, I have seen a lot of failed projects from the DeFi space, and many of them basically got quite a lot of reputational issues on the whole crypto community. So this is one of the issues when you are dealing with unregulated market and unregulated services. And if we're speaking about regulations that might take place and might come, I'm not sure that it will be something completely new. I think it will be a combination of something that already exists. So from what I have already seen, as I'm working a lot with, for example, crypto exchanges, ICOs, ISPOs, and etc., and we see that only few aspects of regulations are emerging. For example, money laundering, KYC, consumer protection. So I think that those regulations will come and will touch base DeFi as well, but this will be the start, and it will not be like a general legal regulation that will unify the whole DeFi space. So we will have pieces by pieces from every single industry just to make sure that there is a minimized risk of scams, minimized risk of failed projects where there is no business case and only, let's say, pure intention to get some profit from people involved.
Okay, so this has been interesting, and we do talk a lot about consumer protection. The regulation should be there. It should be there to, keep everything safe. Other regulation that we're probably going to see is requirements for tax reporting, for example. I know some of you are from Germany, and that is something they're going to love. Do you think that should continue? Like they should have these regulations that you should report? And then if so, how?
So we are a bit biased, right? So 3 out of the 4 speakers here, they live out of the
You
regulation.
make your money out of regulation.
So nevertheless, I mean, it's our job was ultimately to tell our clients what to do so they sleep well at night, right? So everybody wants to stay compliant, and everybody wants to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. So the bigger question here is, what is the right thing?
All right.
Because there are so many new concepts, so many new interactions. It's a completely new terminology and environment that people need to slow down and think through an ideal global world around us from a regulatory perspective, how that would look like from a fairness perspective.
Okay.
And when you add fairness and ethics and income tax, right? Because ultimately what the income tax goes to the government for the benefit of everybody in that country.
Okay.
But if you think of DeFi, you can have global players, and we do not have a global tax system right now, right? So it's something to think through of how this is going to look like cross-border.
All right.
Would be a key.
Actually, just before I jump in, this is making me think of another thing. This might actually completely revolutionize how we see tax and where we are taxed. We might actually be looking at taxation based on consumer purchases, the VAT concept, and removing income tax, which would be a great thing.
That's what I was about to say. Some people think taxation is theft, so ethics and tax, it's hard to combine those things. But obviously, you would like to see some decentralization in the tax system as well, to the point that maybe it disappears altogether. But of course, that's kind of like wishful thinking. In the meantime, we know that it's not going to happen in the short term, and so we have to deal with those. And so obviously, those are burdens that prevent sometimes innovation too.
Okay.
But there are also gatekeepers to really report in some way the activity that one does.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe regarding that, I also think, and I have some clients like big DeFi protocols for whom it is crucial to pay taxes somewhere and to be regulated for having institutional clients use their service, right? So I think there is in big protocols who generate a lot of revenue, they start to shift their thinking from going, all right, we don't want to pay tax or go away from like regulation. They want to embrace it because they want institutional money and institutional investors coming in. And for them, it's crucial that you pay taxes somewhere, that you have a KYC on your protocol. And what I see and what I also had with clients, that we will see DeFi protocols dividing, that they have like some kind of version which is the pro-institutional version
Yep.
and a version which is more for the retail client. And I think that's the best solution, because if you have a fully decentralized protocol and you don't use intermediaries, it's really, really hard to enforce law on you.
Yep.
So, and I think we will see the shift, that there will be a shift towards more decentralization, and on the other hand towards more centralization for the institutional investors to be regulated and to attract them in that regard.
Very interesting. How about from your side, Paul? What do you think? So we're talking about we're going tax, we're going down that way. Is there any negative sides to regulation that we just don't want to come into play?
Well, of course, having in mind the whole crypto space, everyone were quite afraid of regulations at the first time. But when the projects are coming to like a bigger scale, proper business cases, then they try to seek regulations.
Okay.
So I think there is only risk that I can see here is forum shopping.
Okay.
So the projects will be shopping for different jurisdictions just to find the best, let's say, suitable tax environment, best place to find a license, and you can see a lot of mess happening there. Because businesses are scattered around the world, and basically you don't see a lot of order there.
All right. Okay, I'm going to go to literally one final question before we wrap up. But can we actually regulate DeFi? I mean, a DAO, which is sitting on the internet, which is code, which there's no one behind it. Can we say, okay, you are a box, you need to check these boxes? Can it happen? Is it possible?
We build a technology we live by today, right? So ultimately, we can build a technology that will enable us to stay on the right side of things from a regulatory perspective. The question is, should we come up with a law, or should we come up with a guidance, a framework, a set of rules that everybody is embracing? Because I feel like right now the world is literally divided into pro and against,
Yes.
right? And we don't want to be there. We want to come up with a common ground where both people who really value regulations because they need it to process information, as well as people who are completely against it, feel comfortable with.
All right.
Yeah, maybe regarding that, I think the only way to really regulate DeFi is when there are intermediaries involved, or at the end the retail consumer. And I think we will see a shift from the regulators, that they will go really hard on the fiat gateways, on stuff like that, for making it really hard for protocols to sustain themselves. So I think they're just, as I explained before, just the two options: to go fully decentralized and leave no intermediaries and no place of enforcement for the regulators, or on the other side to really embrace regulation to survive with your protocol at the end.
All right. Your thoughts, Thierry? Do you think we can regulate DeFi?
I mean, you can always try, right? It's just a matter of the technology will advance usually faster than the regulation comes out. But I think it's more a matter of knowing what's the right thing to do.
Okay.
And so I would join my colleague here, Simona, to say it's much better if we establish the principles of what you want to do, and then have regulation on principle, have it voted, and find a consensus on what people think is right and what is wrong. But this is kind of subjective. So it's also, I think, the force of the market to, by trial and error, increase the standard practice, because it's in the interest of the companies, it's in the interest of the market and the ecosystem to eliminate the wrongdoers. So I would prefer to see it this way. Now, of course, you have the countries who will do one thing or the other. You would like to see some competition in the framework of regulations. We're in Switzerland so far. It's been relatively reasonable. That means that there is some regulation, because you don't want to be in a place where there is absolutely nothing, because the risk is that something comes up after.
Okay.
You want to have something that is stable. You know what you're getting. You know that it's what you're dealing with. And so provided you set up that standard without killing business and competition, you want to have the certainty that your business can operate in a legal way, so that you will have continuity. So this is one of the topics that stays at night. that makes people like me, think what is coming next. Because some markets are going to close, some markets are going to open, and hopefully there's going to be more markets opening than markets closing.
Okay. And Paul, so we have 1 minute left. Now that the metaverse is coming our way, and we have DeFi, people are going to be transacting around the world in different spaces and DAOs and things like this. What happens then with the regulation? Because we're going beyond borders. We're going into places. Do you think regulation will be the key, or is it going to be down to self-regulation and best practice?
Well, I think that there are two aspects. When we're speaking about regulations, we see that situation. When you try to regulate, businesses choose. So they choose the right place, the right place, the space to operate and continue their business operations that they like. So I think if we choose not a way of imposing strict regulations for businesses to follow and comply, but let's say guidelines and principles, there's more chance that they will follow them. Otherwise, it will be a situation where you impose strict regulations, and there are some countries, some jurisdictions that just welcome with open arms them, and they continue doing their stuff there. So I think getting into the aspect of metaverse, of course, some aspects will be regulated there just because of the tight connection between real world and metaverse, as we already seen with examples of actual crimes happening in metaverse. And of course, it's quite an interesting topic for us as lawyers. But of course, it's a very hot topic for further discussions.
Oh, fantastic. Well, our time is just about up, so I'm just going to ask one last question. Regulation DeFi, yay or nay? Yay.
Yay.
Yes for some, no for others.
Okay.
It hurts me to say, but it's for the market to decide, not for the angels.
No. Okay.
Smart regulations.
Okay, 4 different answers. This is the beauty of blockchain. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. This has been Should We Regulate DeFi? My name is Wesley Ellul. A big hand to all our speakers here.